Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Alif Nakyuddin bin Aminu Iskandar from section 416, and today for our Understanding Islam 3 group presentation, my group member and I would like to present about Shīʿah Imamiyah in Malaysia. I will begin with the introduction and objective of this presentation, as well as the three main characteristics of the teaching that lead to its pronouncement as heretical. For the introduction of Shīʿah Imamiyah in Malaysia, the phrase Al-Imamiyah according to Al-Ashari refers to group of Shīʿah who believe Sayyidina Ali's leadership is a thing that has been served. Also, they were also known as Shīʿah Al-Rafidah because they rejected the leadership of Sayyidina Abu Bakar and Sayyidina Umar. Next, according to Ibn Khaldun, the name Al-Imamiyah is employed since one of their religious need is to believe in the Imam. There are 12 prayers or Imam descended from Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib were on their side. Next, the objective of this presentation is to know about Shīʿah Imamiyah past or history, also to comprehend Shīʿah Imamiyah's idea of aberrant ideologies and teachings, to justify Shīʿah Imamiyah traits, whether they are liberalism or pluralism. In addition, we also know how to link Shīʿah Imamiyah's aberrant belief to the conditions that lead to their proclamation as heretical. Last but not least, the objective of this presentation is to understand the significance of consulting the Quran and Sunnah before making any religious decisions. Let's move on to the main discussion of this presentation, which is three main characteristics of the teachings that lead to its pronouncement as heretical. The first one is the unseen matters. Shīʿah Imamiyah believe that Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala will resurrect the Prophet Nabi Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Sayyidina Ali, and the others Imams to the earth after coming of Al-Mahdi. Based off this statement, their viewpoint is shown to be conflict with the other hadith, because the hadith said there is no land of death except heaven and hell, said the Prophet Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So from this hadith, it is apparently that any human being who has died will no longer be resurrected or no incarnation. This is due to the fact that human soul has died is no longer connected to human existence in the physical realm. So that's all from me. I will pass the presentation to the next speaker, which is Akil Aiman. Thank you.
Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Akil Aiman bin Rafi and my metric number is 210889. And I will continue the second part, which is prophethood. Firstly, they claiming that their prayers were immune to minor sins and major sins. According to the Shīʿah Imamiyah, their imams begin with Sayyidina Ali, hence those nominated after his death must be infallible from minor and serious sins. They adopting the concept of ismah to ordinary human beings, which is false because only the prophethood, the one that has been chosen, can be like that. This is because, according to Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the idea of ismah exclusively applies to prophet. Ordinary persons are not free from making mistakes and committing sins due to the human's inclination of desire, which frequently drive them physically and emotionally to meet their needs. Because the Anbiya are also humans, Allah SWT has bestowed ismah unto them, as well as confirming their mission by bestowing different miracles to show the variety of the message they carried. It is also an honor to them that ismah is bestowed to them. This concept, however, cannot be applied by the imams or the Khalifah. The designated Khalifah are ordinary people whose function is to manage the affairs of Muslim. Next, from the aspect of Sharia, the Shīʿah Imamiyah claiming that the sects are in line with them in believing in i'tiqad al-imamah, then the person is a believer. Those who are connected with the Shīʿah al-Imamiyah in believing in i'tiqad are considered believer according to the Shīʿah Imamiyah group. Adhere to the five pillars of Islam. Those who merely believe in the five pillars of Islam without believing in the sixth pillar, which is especially tied to Al-Imamah, are just believers in the broad sense and do not fall outside of the Islamic line. Shīʿah consider mu'min and their status is higher than that of ordinary Muslim. As a result, according to them, every believer is a Muslim, but not all Muslims are believers. This is also the basic concept that the Prophet Muhammad SAW introduced Islam to the world. It will only result in a Muslim who does not attain the status of believer. But the Shia are believers and occupy a greater position than the average Muslim, owing to their holding of the etiquette al-imamah. This is against the principle, which is the cornerstone of the religion of Muslim, who are Ahl-Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They have not only deviated from the basic belief of Islam, but they also added things that Prophet Muhammad SAW did not initially express. That's all from me, and that is the three main characteristics of the teaching that lead to its pronouncement as heretical. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is Amir Azim bin Muhammad Kamar Zaman, and I'm going to continue with the presentation of two characteristics of the teaching to either religious liberalism or religious pluralism. So, for the first point of the characteristic of the teaching that relate to the religious liberalism is Sharia. This kind of teaching relates to religious liberalism because they came up with their interpretation, which is significantly different from Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The Shia are convinced that their imams are immune based on the 124th verse in Surah Al-Baqarah, which states that a tyrant will not become an imam. Based on 124th verse of Surah Al-Baqarah, on their side, everyone who commit a sin, whether outwardly and inwardly, then they are not worthy to be imam. This claim is rejected because, according to Ar-Razi, the verse only indicates that the condition for becoming an imam. The imam should not commit many sins and it does not contain any dilalah on the obligation of infallibility on themselves. Besides, if it is true, the individual who will replace Rasulullah must be infallible, then why Sayyidina Abu Bakar said, "Obey as long as I obey Allah. If I disobey Allah, then there is no more obedient to me." So suffice this statement as a proof the concept of ismah is denied the right of the imam. So Amir Safwan will continue for the next point. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amir Safa Besahami. My metric number is 210732. So in this video I will continue the two characteristics of the teaching of Shia to either religious liberalism or religious pluralism. So my point is based on the akidah of the teaching of Shia. So based on the akidah of Shia, this kind of teaching relates to the religious liberalism because they perceiving that the human mind is a revelation. The Shia claiming that Imam also received revelation as did the prophets and apostles, although the manner of receiving such revelation is different. Based on them, they think the difference between an apostle, a prophet and a priest is that an apostle is a person who met Jibril and they saw and heard Jibril's voice and revelation coming down to him. While for them, the Imam is the one who hears the voice of Jibril, but they did not see Jibril. This clearly contradicts the concept of faith that becomes the holding of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, because the Caliph were only of the common people and their position was not appointed to the rank of prophet and apostle. They do not receive revelation, or even acceptance revelation is a special matter for the prophets and apostles, who are not at all bestowed by God and other than them. Also, they believe that Allah Subhanahu wa Taala will resurrect the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sayyidina Ali, and other imams to the earth after the coming of Al-Mahdi. Their views on the subject were found to be in direct conflict with the contents of the Quran and Hadith. Indeed, in the creed of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, only Prophet Isa alaihi salam, which will be revealed again by Allah Subhanahu wa Taala to this world when the hour is about to come. So basically, the teaching of Aqidah of Shīʿah is literally contradict with the Quran and Hadith. So basically, that's all from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much.
I'm going to end the presentation with the conclusion for this topic. As a conclusion, it is shown the Shīʿah Imamiyah belief is obviously in opposition to the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Many people have been in pure confusion with the misinterpretation of Quran and Hadith by the deviant teaching of Shīʿah Imamiyah, imposing personal understanding and doctrine over the Quranic verse, and the lack of knowledge lead to deviant teaching. We as a Muslim who follow the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah faith should believe and hold firmly to the Al-Quran and Al-Hadith as a source of reference in our life. We must learn from the correct source in order to avoid being influenced by heretical teachings that deviate from Shīʿah Islamiyah path. That's all from us. Thank you.